So Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in the Sravan Utsav again. We have been going on the Sravan Utsav journey for last few days, and we have been hearing from senior devotees. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Revatipati Prabhuji amongst all of us here. A brief introduction of Prabhuji. Prabhuji has been a very brilliant student in studies throughout his academic years. He did his B.Tech in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Kharagpur. He completed that in 2003 with second ranking in the department. Also, he received scholarships, merit-based scholarship during his B.Tech years, as well as when he did the Masters, again from IIT, and completed that in 2005. He continued to get that merit-based scholarship. In fact, his project, which was project work which he did for MTech, that was applied for patenting as well. This was like surprising information for me as well, that Prabhuji was very active in choreography and athletics during his college days. He got introduced to ISKCON through voice, which is actually Vedic Oasis for Inspiration, Culture and Education, that institute. And he got introduced in 2002 during his B.Tech third year. And he has been very active in organizing those seminars and courses in IIT since then. In 2004, so in 2002 he got introduced. In 2004, he started visiting regularly to other colleges for conducting voice courses there. He, in his professional career, after he completed his master's, he worked for Parametric Technology Corporation in Pune. Subsequently, he joined Bhakti Shastri course, and then he has been serving as project manager for voice and also as an executive secretary for corporate voice for last 2 years. And currently he's serving as the member of Vice President's Board for ISKCON Pune. I personally met Prabhuji during the Udupi Yatra, and many of you, or at least some of you, were part of that Udupi Yatra. And personally, I was very attracted by his simplicity, humility, and his service attitude. We had many lunches together, and we had very good Krishna conscious discussions on those lunches. I heard many lectures from him on the Yatra. And after that Yatra as well, whenever I went back to Pune, we again met Prabhuji, and that interaction continued. So I'm very happy to have Prabhuji amongst us today and to hear from him. We are getting this opportunity again to hear from him. So let us welcome Prabhuji with loudly chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining us here today in your busy schedule. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ambrish Maharaj Prabhu, to remember me and to invite for this wonderful program at Wellington. And this is very wonderful because the goal of life is Shravana. Actually, the goal of life is to hear about Krishna. So to be a part of this celebration is my great fortune. Just recite briefly a prayer and then we can start. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakhanutam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Veshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desha Sadhu Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. So, as per the schedule, today we'll be discussing on the deliverance of Dhenukasura by Krishna from Krishna Book. And before that, I'll just briefly discuss about Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of Vedic wisdom. It is written by Srila Vyasadeva in his maturity after writing all other literature. And it is completely free from the other four goals which are propagated through other Vedic literature, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. It gives one prema. So Srimad Bhagavatam has 12 cantos, and these cantos are like, in a way, arranged like the beautiful form of the Lord. The first two cantos, they are like the lotus feet of the Lord, and then the knees of the Lord, thighs of the Lord, then the chest of the Lord, and finally it comes to the face of the Lord, which is compared to this 10th canto. So Srila Prabhupada advised the systematic study of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he says, by the time one will read the 9 cantos, one will become a pure devotee of the Lord, free from all the anarthas and all the misgivings. And then when he's reading 10th canto, then he can actually relish it. And Srila Prabhupada was so eager to give us the 10th canto that before writing commentary on Bhagavatam after first canto, he gave us the Krishna Book. And Srila Prabhupada says the Krishna Book is a solace for the devotees who feel great separation from Krishna. He writes in the preface of Krishna Book. So through Krishna Book, we got introduced to Krishna's pastimes, and then Srila Prabhupada also translated 13 chapters of 10th canto before he departed from this world, and later it was completed by other disciples. So 10th canto is a very special one. It's a smiling, the whole face of the Lord, you see. And by reading other cantos, we come to understand the greatness of the Lord. And then in 10th canto, we especially come to relish the sweetness of the Lord. Because we know the greatness. We know that Lord who came as Narasimha Dev, the Lord who came as Vaman Dev, the Lord who came as Vatsavatar, now he's coming just as a sweet, tender child. And then that sweetness becomes, more relishable because we know his greatness. So 10th canto is a very, very special one. And our acharyas have written so many elaborate commentaries on each particular word, sometimes each word. And there are, dozens and dozens of commentaries on 10th canto which are available. And we are very, very fortunate to be able to hear these pastimes. They are the perfection of Sravan Utsav. So Srila Sukadeva Goswami is narrating this pastime to Parikshit Maharaj, and it is almost the 4th day when this 10th canto begins. And Parikshit Maharaj is so eager, he says, don't cut short anything. I'm eager to hear, and you just tell everything in great detail. So Parikshit Maharaj's eagerness, empowers Sukadeva Goswami, excites Sukadeva Goswami, and then he's telling in great detail. And then in that narration, we hear about Krishna's appearance, and then Krishna's childhood pastime. And the childhood pastime, the Vatsalya is Pradhan. There is a lot of description of Krishna's childhood pastime where role of Mother Yashoda, Mother Rohini, and elderly gopis is there. And later on, when the Gocharan Leela comes, when Krishna starts going for herding the cows, then the Sakhya bhav, that becomes very prominent. Friendship relationship, now we can see how Krishna plays with his friend, how they reciprocate love with each other. And later on, when Krishna further, apparently grows, then his Madhurya Leela is being described later by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, and later on he leaves Vrindavan, goes to Mathura and Dwarka, like that. So this section, what we are reading, the killing of Dhenukasura, this is a part of Krishna's Gocharan Leela, how Krishna deals with his friends, and how they all together, they are just, enjoying each other's company. Now, Srila Prabhupada talks in Bhagavad Gita that actually one should be captivated by the description of the spiritual world, because that is the place where we belong to. That is the place where there is eternal happiness, for everyone. There's no birth, no death, no old age, no disease, no corona, no lockdowns. So that is where we belong to. But here, being here in this material world for so many lifetimes, uncountable lifetimes, we become so conditioned. We feel this is natural, Just like sometimes we go to Dham and we book our return ticket when we are coming back. But actually the reference point is the Dham. We are actually going back. We are not like going to, but rather going back to the Dham. And this is the temporary place where we stay. So, and these pastimes are described in such detail for this purpose of attracting our heart and giving us a glimpse of what true life is all about. what life in the spiritual world looks like. Because oftentimes when people are given information that there is a light where you have to merge, it's not exciting. Nobody likes to be there just in light, and doing nothing about it, losing the identity. So Srila Prabhupada says this impersonal conception of absolute truth which has been propagated has actually given rise to atheism and materialism. Because this personal conception of the Lord is so beautiful, so attractive, that if we get a higher taste, we give up the lower taste automatically. We don't have to struggle for that. So this higher taste is given especially through the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, through these wonderful pastimes. So that as this pastime unfolds, this 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it begins by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, informing us that now Krishna has become 6-year-old. Now Lord is unborn, he doesn't get aged, but it's still for his Leela to take place and to give specific pleasure to his devotees in his specific rasas. He seems to be growing. He's always God. It's not that he's not God when he's a few days old on the lap of his mother. He's always God. But still he goes through the, humanly conceivable nature so that we can relate with him more. So when he becomes 6-year-old, then there's a meeting in Vrindavan which happens. And they all together, they agree that now Krishna and his friends have grown up and now they can be given charge of cows. So till now Krishna was called Vatsapal. Vatsa means calf. Pala means one who takes care. So now the Vatsapal becomes Gopal. Now he can take care of the cows. So there's a big celebration in the month of Kartik, the first Ashtami which comes, that is called Gopastami. And that is very, very beautifully celebrated in all over Vraja, all over Vrindavan, especially in Nandagaon. So the beautiful celebrations which happen on this day, cows are decorated and then the Gopas are decorated and they just celebrate that very beautiful festival. And the famous pastime of Mother Yashoda giving Krishna the shoes, that also happened on this day. And Mother Yashoda told Krishna, you have to wear shoes. Krishna says, I can't wear shoes, I am the servant of the cows, I am Gopal. So if cows will not wear shoes, I will not wear shoes. And when cows came to know that, then that night they went and they crushed all the stones and pebbles of Vrindavan with their hooves to find dust. And till now, this kind of fine dust which is there in Vrindavan is not there anywhere else on the entire planet. You can check it. Even on the sand, sea beach or anywhere else, you'll not find that fine dust which is there in Vrindavan. So they just powdered everything so that Krishna will not feel any pain in walking, on the soft dust. So this was cause reciprocation, because in Vrindavan, everyone loves Krishna more than anything and anyone else. That is Vrindavan. Even all the other mothers, they love Krishna more than their own children, that we might have heard in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. But that is Vrindavan, where Krishna is the object of everyone's love. So then they come to the Poganda age. Poganda is the age from 6 to 10. And then they take charge of the cows. And the cows are there in front, and Krishna and Balaram playing their flutes, and all their unlimited cowherd boys are there, and they all go to forest. Now they're allowed to go a little deeper. Till now they will go little, at the outskirts of Nandagaon only, so that they can come back soon. Now they were allowed to take the cows a little farther. So there's a great festival, and they all go, and just like even now when the children get some freedom, they feel more happy. So all these tendencies, they actually come from Krishna. Krishna and the cowherd friend will, now it's wonderful because the mothers are not keeping a watch and they can play more. They can have more fun than they were having at other times. So there's a big celebration when Krishna leaves and Krishna enters Vrindavan. And everyone in Vrindavan without fail is just there at the doorway. And whoever is there, wherever they are, they just get frozen practically. They're just there, and then Krishna walks playing a flute, and Krishna takes the mind and heart of all the Vrajavasis who are staying behind, because they can't think of anything. They can't think of anything other than Krishna. Krishna takes their mind away with him when he goes to herd the cows. And the cows are delighted, and the cows are going. And many acharyas have written in great detail how that pastime actually happens, but we will not go into detail in that. And Krishna goes, and this particular day, and Krishna is there with Balaramji, and Krishna glorifies Balaram. Krishna appreciates Balaram. Now, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Balaramji is his first expansion. And Balaramji is the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. That means the best servant of Krishna is Balaramji. Srimati Radharani also, she is the energy tattva, but that will not go in detail in that part. But Balramji, the best servant of Krishna, and is only focused on how to give pleasure to Krishna. And all our spiritual masters, they are actually represented as Lord Balaram, because their only duty is to teach us how to serve Krishna by their own personal example. So Balaram is always in the mood of serving Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates. It's not that Krishna is proud of getting service. It's not like that. Krishna personally wishes to serve all of his devotees. So Krishna is appreciating Balaramji and saying that just see, all these trees, they're bowing down to you so that they can get your favor. And all these bees, they are humming. They might be, your devotee in the previous life, and they are now humming so that, they can attract your attention. And all the flowers are blooming and the breeze is going and carrying the sweet fragrance so that they can please you. So, and the deers, they are also watching you and they are getting pleased. And the gopis also become pleased when you embrace them with a long hand. So actually, these things are there for pleasing Krishna, but Krishna is glorifying these things for pleasing Balaram, which is also not wrong with Krishna, Balaram ultimately. In one sense, they are one person, but they are eternally two personalities. So Krishna glorifies Balaram in this way. And then our Acharyas write that actually the atmosphere of Vrindavan is fully satisfying to all the five senses. For the eyes, you want to see, nothing better than to see the forest of Vrindavan, the beautiful, fruit trees, the flower trees. There's nothing better to smell, than the breeze which is carrying the aroma of different flowers. And the sense of touch is also, also nourished by this breeze which is flowing from river Yamuna. It carries the fine droplets of water. It's very soothing. And this breeze is so sweet that it also titillates the tongue. It also gives a taste to that. And for hearing, the beautiful birds are singing. All the different names are mentioned by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. And the birds are all chirping and chanting the glories of Radha and Krishna. So the atmosphere of Vrindavan is so pleasing, so soothing, that it satisfies all the five senses. So the five senses, they have holes. They are holes. Nose has holes, ear have holes. And this hole, the quality of a hole is no matter what amount of quantity we put in that, whatever item, it never gets satisfied. And that is why you have seen, from our birth we have taken tons and tons of prasadam or food item, but still we feel hungry, for a few hours we feel hungry. So the holes will not get satisfied unless they get connected to the supreme whole. That supreme whole, WHOLE, that supreme whole is Lord Krishna. When the holes, the senses, they get connected to the supreme Lord, then they get satisfied. Because the supreme whole can fill all the holes, and saturate them. Otherwise, everyone is like craving for seeing something beautiful, hearing something nice, tasting something nice, and the whole world is evolving. Everyone is just craving for satisfying these holes, actually. So that is the Vrindavan where actually one feels completely satisfied. So in this way, Krishna glorifies Balaramji and Krishna glorifies the residents of Vrindavan, all the trees and the creepers and the birds and the river and the flowers and the deers. This is the mood of appreciation. Actually, Vrindavan has a lot to do with appreciation. Material world is all about criticism. And anywhere anything is going on, they're just like pulling us down. Take our car is better than this car. Our mobile is better than this car. This mobile, and our network is better than that one. Discard this, take this, this is better. Everyone is in the mood of comparing and criticizing how they're better than others. It's a constant struggle which goes on in this material world. But Vrindavan is different. The mood of Vrindavan is appreciation. Everyone appreciates everyone else. And they feel that they are better than us. And that's why they are more dear to Krishna. They are serving Krishna more nicely, and let us learn how to serve Krishna more nicely. So how much we have made advancement, this test we can individually take. How much we have learned to appreciate others, and how much we have given up the tendency to criticize others. Because this is told by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anya Ninda Adi Shunyam. When our tendency to criticize tends to zero, it becomes zero, that's the time we become a pure devotee. The impurity reflects in terms of our speech and in terms of our speech of criticism. He is good, but he is nice, but he did the service, but when this but comes, then we should know that there is some problem. We are not able to appreciate heartfully. We know that maybe I should not do over appreciation. Everyone should know his glories, but also he should know the shortcomings he has. Otherwise, people will think he's better than me. This kind of tendency comes. But Krishna is heart-friendly, he's not insecure. Actually, to not be able to appreciate someone is a sign of insecurity. So Krishna is heart-friendly, appreciating. And then so Krishna, Subal, Sridhama, they all come to Krishna and Balaram. And sometimes Krishna and Balaram will play and Balaram will get tired, then he will lie down on the lap of one of the cowherd boy and Krishna will serve him. Krishna will bring water for him and make a fan of leaves and kind of fan him to remove his tiredness. And sometimes the other Gopas, they will sing and dance for Balaram. Sometimes Krishna will become tired. And every Gopa will think that Krishna should come and lie down on my lap. And Krishna expands so many times. It's not only Raslila Krishna expands. Krishna expands every day hundreds of times just to reciprocate individually and personally with every one of his friends, every one of his cow, and every resident of Vrindavan who want to reciprocate. This is a speciality of Vrindavan. It is not there at any other place. Krishna just keeps on expanding at times as per the need. So Krishna expands. And Krishna lies down at the lap of each cowherd boy and allows him to personally serve him. So this happens, and they take their lunch together and things like that. They continue enjoying, and they play various games. All the games which we see here and which we play here, their origin is actually in Vrindavan. Whether it is cricket or baseball or football or whatever else, it's all originating in Sri Vrindavan Dham, because that is the Adi Loka, that is the original property. So this day, Subala, so Krishna, Sridhama, they all come and say, Krishna Balaram, you are the killer of demons. You are so powerful, and you already killed so many demons. Here nearby, there is a forest called Talavan, because there were many tal fruits there. And these tala fruits, many have fallen because they are ripened. After being ripened, the fruits, they just fall on their own, so that they can be taken by other living beings, by animals or humans for their nourishment. It's the nature of a tree. I mean, Krishna appreciates the nature of a tree also at another place. He glorifies the trees. They're sacrificing nature. They're tolerating nature. And Mahaprabhu also said, Taroriva Seshna. So trees have a lot of glory too. So, and some are ripened and they're still on the branches. And we can smell it here. Can't you smell it? We are very much desiring to, have those fruits. Now, somebody will wonder, how can, Anya Vilashita Shunyam is pure devotional service. How can the cowherd boy desire something else? Actually, cowherd boy don't desire anything separate. But they know if they tell Krishna Balaram, you want to give to you, they will not do that. But if they say, we are hungry, then Krishna Balaram will do that service for them. And in this way, they will kill the demon and they will be able to glorify Krishna Balaram. So, it's a very, very deep psychology of pure love. So they tell like that, and they say that let's go there. And, there's this Dhenuka. This is an associate of Kamsa. It's a big asura. He lives there in the form of an ass, in the form of a donkey. And he's so terrible that he eats man alive. Now, donkeys are generally vegetarians. Asses are vegetarian. They are not harming so much. They don't have even horns. But this, because it's a demon in the form of an ass, so he eats man alive. And no animal lives there. No human being can go there. Even the birds cannot fly there. That is the terror he has preached. So they were very, concerned that this Talavan, this forest, is meant for the nourishment of everyone. Cows should be able to graze there. Humans should be able to take the fruit there. Why one person is possessing it? So they wanted to release it from the possessive nature of Dhenukasura. So then Krishna and Balaram, hearing their request, they go there. And Balaram goes there. And Balaram first takes the big tal tree and shakes it up. Balaram means one who takes pleasure in displaying his strength. So Balaramji, when he shakes, then the tal fruits start, falling. And then, it's like the sound reaches Dhenukasura. And it was almost mid-time, so Dhenukasura had taken his meal or whatever he was eating, and he was taking a little nap. And when he heard the falling of the fruits, he became so upset, so angry. How dare anyone can enter this forest? Who has come to die here? Don't they know? He thought his empire or his possessiveness or his rule is being challenged. So he became very upset. He came running, came alone. He came running and he saw these small cowherd boys just there, shaking the fruit, and he was so upset. And he came running, and he came running and running and running to attack Balaram, because Balaram was the one who was shaking the trees. And then he stopped. Generally, when you run towards someone, and you want to use the momentum to punch him or something like that. But he's an ass. So the asses can't hit with their hind legs, their front legs. They have to hit with their back legs. So he came running, angrily charging, and then he came in front of Balaram and just turned back because he has to hit him with the hind leg. And he started hitting. Balaramji is Ananta Shesh, is holding the entire planet on his hood. What the simple kicks of a tiny demon will do. So he just tolerated. And then he just took him, off the thing and just threw him off. And Dhenukasura, he went, he flew past like 8 miles and fell there, became unconscious for 1 hour. And then again he woke up and said, what happened? And then he, came. And this time, generally asses, as I said, they don't have horn. But this time Dhenukasura took that form of 4-horned ass. And again he kind of, came running. And this time Krishna was there. So Krishna again took him and caught hold of him and again threw him back, threw him on Govardhan. So again he lied down there unconscious for some time, and again he came back, and this time he kind of took Krishna in his horn and flew in the air. And I mean, these are all mystic yogis and everything else. They're not like simple donkeys or asses, but it's like very thrilling. That's why I told we may be seeing English movies or Hindi movies, whatever, Telugu movies this time, and whatever romance you find, whatever stunt we find, and whatever tragedy we find, and whatever other emotion you find in a movie, that original thing is again in Krishna Leela. There's no other source. The original romance, the original fights, the original stunts, the original mysticism, this is all there in Krishna Leela. That's why when we relish Krishna Leela, then our taste for all these things automatically goes. We are no more interested in that. I mean, I remember when I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, we had already booked a ticket for watching a match in Eden Gardens, Kolkata. I was studying close to that. And just that somehow the devotee gave me a very high power dose. So I lost all taste. Just like Corona, you lose all taste. So we had a ticket and we just cancelled it. And my brother was there. They took me to movie theater and I closed my eyes for 3 hours chanting Hare Krishna. So I mean, we can realize that we just lose taste for all these mundane things which otherwise look so attractive and so impossible to give up. Tea, coffee, watching movies, playing video games, surfing internet, all. Once you get a taste for hearing Krishna Katha and sharing Krishna Katha, these all things really become. And that is really a sign of growth also. So, Dhenukasura took Krishna on his horn and flew in the sky, and then he and Krishna like kind of fighting, and then just Krishna from the sky just put him down on the ground, and then Krishna jumped there, and then all the other cowherd boys came, and somebody took a rope and started beating him, somebody took a stick and started beating him, somebody started kicking him. They tried their best, and it is described in Garga Samhita and other Acharya's commentary that then Dhenukasura was so powerful, he uprooted the whole Govardhan hill. We hear about Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. Dhenukasura lifted Govardhan hill and threw at Krishna. And Krishna caught hold of Govardhan hill. And then he again threw at Govardhan, at Dhenukasura. And this is going back and forth like a volleyball. And then finally Krishna put Krishna put Govardhan hill back in his place. And then again, Dhenukasura came. He thought I'm not winning over Krishna. So let me come and fight with Balaram. Again, he went to Balaram and again started kicking him. This time Balaram caught hold of his hind legs, and then started rotating. Krishna and Balaram don't use any weapon in Vrindavan. Although the demons are more powerful than any other demon, any other avatar has ever killed. But in Vrindavan, they just do things out of fun. They just kill things like little cake. And, Putana he killed just by his lips. Shakadasura he killed by a little kick. Tanamrata he kills just by, embracing him, catching his throat. So Krishna kills in a very, very pleasing way. Very, it's like, it doesn't disturb the mood. Not like, Sankha Chakra Gada Padma comes, Chakra comes and arrows come. It's not like a Ramayana or Mahabharata kind of situation. Soothing way, just normal, okay, not a problem. So Balramji takes Dhenukasura, catches him with his behind legs, rotates him, whirls him. And then in that whirling only, Dhenukasura, gets liberated, the soul leaves the body, and then, Balramji threw him at the topmost tal tree, the palm tree. And this weight was so much because the donkey was so heavy, it's so big, that tree fell. And then the tree fell, then the cascading effect, that's called the domino effect. So then the other tree fell, and like that, a whole series of trees fell. And seeing this whole thing is going on, all the Dhenukasura's friends came. Because, everyone lives in company. There's satsang and there is asatsang. Sangha is there. Now, choice is whether to be in satsang or asatsang. But sangha is there. Nobody enjoys without sangha. Even a drunkard will not be, sitting in his room alone and drinking. There's no fun there. He'll be sitting with 4 or 5 people and everyone will be telling his story and drinking and everyone is sharing. You drink first. Everyone is sponsoring and, parties. Nobody can enjoy alone. That is not the propensity. Everyone enjoys with other people. They would enjoy together by keeping Krishna in center, and similarly, non-devotees also, they come together trying to enjoy themselves in the company of people. So all the friends came and they saw it. The boys are so powerful, but again, because they're asses, they just don't have good intelligence. They attacked. And Krishna and Balaram, as a matter of fun, they will come, the asses will come running, and then they will stop, they will take turn, and then they will kick, and then Krishna will catch hold of few of the asses, rotate them. Same technique. That was the game of the day. And Balaram will do that. And like that, all the associates of Dhenukasura were actually liberated and thrown on the different trees. And the whole scene becomes so panoramic. Prabhupada uses the word panoramic. Panoramic means something very delightful. And Prabhupada says, whatever Krishna does is delightful. It's not that his killing is less delighting than anything. It's Maduram. Adharam Maduram, Vadaram Maduram, Dayanam Maduram, Hasitam Maduram, Karanam Maduram, Taranam Maduram, Haranam Maduram, Ramanam Maduram. Everything is just Maduram. Half of the song is Maduram. If you know the word Maduram, 50% of the song Adaram. Other 50% other words. So everything is just sweet. So that these donkeys were of like bluish color and the blood was oozing out of like red color and the trees were of green color. So it became like, blue and red and green and all that thing. And then all the cowherd boys, they just came and took Krishna Balaram on their shoulders and they just celebrated we celebrate. So they were so happy and then they composed songs glorifying Krishna and Balaram. And when they will enter Vrindavan, they will glorify what Krishna and Balaram did. This is the mood, you see. The cowherd boys themselves don't take any credit. Their greatest pleasure is in glorifying Krishna and Balaram. In the material world, everyone wants to be glorified. And in the spiritual world, everyone wants to glorify others. That's the distinction. So they came and all the Brajavasis, they, were so delighted because the whole day they feel separation. And then the mothers, they came forward and they will touch all the bodily limbs to see that Krishna and Balaram are fully safe and there are no scratches and, nothing has happened to their transcendental body. And then they will bathe them and they will cook prasad for them. And it's especially mentioned that they will give them prasadam, which will be nourishing for them. They will like to please them. But even while pleasing them, they will be very careful that they will not give them something which may not be good for their health. so they will, cook nice varieties of bhoga and offer them, and they will make their bedding very nicely, and then they will put them to rest. And in this way, this Vrindavan Leela actually, continues further. So this was the day when he killed Dhenukasura, and then further, next is Kalya Leela will come. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes a very interesting thing. He says that these demons are actually there in Krishna Leela while Krishna Leela happens in this world. In the Goloka, this demon killing Leela is not there, especially here. So one thing is that the demons are different, people who have been cursed by different stages. Just like the Dhenukasura. So Dhenukasura, he is the grandson of Bali Maharaj. So he was there with, he was enjoying in some mountain and Durvasa Muni came. And he disturbed Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni cursed him that you become an ass. And he says, when Krishna will appear, then he will deliver. So one thing is that, the sages have given curse to some people and they have to be delivered. That's one reason. And another thing is that Krishna wants us to, demonstrate that what are the demons which are there within our own heart. Our own heart is also Vrindavan. But just like these demons, they disturb Vrindavan. Similarly, there are certain propensities, certain attitudes, and certain what we can say wrong habits which actually agitate our Krishna consciousness, disturb our Krishna consciousness, do not allow us to become steady in our practice of Krishna consciousness. So like that, he wrote a book, Demons in Krishna Leela, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And in that, for every demon, he gives an understanding what does this demon represent as a part of the anarthas of our own heart, and how the demon is eradicated by Krishna. So it's a very, very interesting book, very wonderful book, and we can learn so much from. So now this, Dhenukasura. Dhenukasura is in the form of an ass, is a demon. So within our own heart, it represents possessive mentality. This mentality of I, me, and mine is very strong. I am the proprietor, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. I will not allow anyone else to take any part in that. I will not share with anyone else. So this kind of propensities are there. Just like Dhenukasura did not want to share the fruits of the forest with anyone else, although it was not his fruits. It was not his fruit. That was not his forest. Similarly, we take credit for our achievements, although we are not the doers. I mean, we have so many other devotees contributing in any achievement, and our own body is controlled by the Supreme God. We are not the doers in the real sense. We can desire, but actually action happens by the arrangement of the Lord and the mental nature. That's said in Bhagavad Gita. But the possessive mentality is very strong. And what happens? Then Balaramji comes. Balaramji is represented by a spiritual master. So when a spiritual master comes in our life, he starts shaking. He says, hey, you are not the doer. Ahankar vimudatma karta hamiti manyate. Hear that. What is Krishna telling? Till now, Bhagavad Gita, karmanyavadikara. That's the only Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharma. 2 lines. Very popular in India. Karmanyavadikara se yada yada hi dharma. That's all. But when Guru tells us, Ahankar vimudatma karta hamiti manyate, you are not the doer, you think you are the doer. Ahankar vimudatma, you are vimuda. We get shaken up. This concept of I, me, and mine gets shaken up when Guru's words come. And this is like Balaramji shaking the tree. Similarly, our conception gets shaken up when we come to ISKCON and we hear from the devotees. And then what happens? Then our mind comes, and mind, just like Dhenukasura was fighting back, and he was, kind of trying to hit Balaramji. Similarly, mind gives so many arguments. Why it is not mine? I worked hard for it, and I earned it, and I'm like this, and I possess this and that, and mind goes into a series of endless justifications, arguments, rationalization of how I am the possessor, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. It's not easy. And then Balaramji has to really, kill those propensities. So the spiritual master plays a very, very vital role, because we learn to serve Krishna through serving the spiritual master. Spiritual master prepares our mind and heart to serve Krishna. And that is why the anarthas which are killed by Balaramji specifically, like Dhenukasura, Pralambha, Veda, so these anarthas, they have to be demolished, or they have to be, they have to be uprooted only by taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. Krishna helps, but Krishna gives the help through the spiritual master, and the spiritual master helps through his Vani. So when he speaks, then these Dhenukasura-like propensities of controllership mentality, possessive mentality, grabbing credit mentality, and these kind of mentalities, they get shaken up. And then the heart becomes truly purified when the spiritual master kills those propensities. So this is a good reflection to be there about the Dhenukasura propensities in our own heart. And praying to Balaramji, praying to our spiritual master, and taking shelter of the spiritual master and Krishna both, by following the principles what our spiritual master has given, following his instructions. His instructions are like those weapons by which we kill these Dhenukasura-like demons in our own heart. And we take shelter of Krishna by chanting holy names. Krishna has Kali Kale Naam Rupe Krishna. Krishna appears in the form of his holy name. So when we chant, that time our mind is really rested. So anyway, there's a connection with our internal struggle to the pastimes which we hear in Vrindavan, especially the killing of the demons. And there are many elaborate commentaries and many elaborate explanations, but in the limited time, we have tried to summarize this killing of the Dhenukasura pastime and the events in Vrindavan on this particular day. They are happening all the day. Somewhere Krishna is killing Dhenukasura right now. Right now, Dhenukasura is being killed, and cowherd boys are lifting him on the shoulder and they are celebrating. And somewhere else, Krishna is, Balaramji is, whirling Dhenukasura right now. Because in different universes, different leelas are happening. So everything is happening at some time frame in some universe. So that is why these leelas are eternally happening. And we take shelter of these leelas by hearing them, by admiring them, by learning the lessons from them, and by applying to take shelter of the spiritual master, in a very firm way, by following his instructions. Then, really we get qualified to enter this pastimes in due course of time. So I again express my deep thanks and gratitude to all of you, especially Ambrish Maharaj, because Ambrish Maharaj also was so powerful that by his influence, the entire planet got influenced, and everyone wanted to go back to Godhead. Nobody wanted to go to heaven. That is the specialty. And Yayati Maharaj, who was so, drowning in the ocean of sense gratification, as we hear in Bhagavatam 9th canto, Yayati Maharaj, without even a personal contact, got influenced by Amrish Maharaj's rule. Amrish Maharaj was the ruler of the entire planet, and Yayati Maharaj was ruling a section. So it is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that Amrish Maharaj's rule was there. It was so powerful that by his influence, Yayati Maharaj was there in sense gratification, involved in sense gratification, also got realized. And he also came to the path of devotion. So that was the power of Amrish Maharaj. And then similarly, somebody who's servant of Amrish Maharaj, you can imagine that I am here drowning in the ocean of some kind of management, distractions, health issues, this, that. But Amrish Maharaj pulled me and told me to speak. And I could very well relate to Dhenukasura in my own heart. Because to speak there, you have to think and realize. So I'm deeply grateful to give me a chance of sharing this brief description of, Krishna Katha is like a swab of cotton. We can compress it and it can become this small and we can put in the ear like a earbud. Or we can make a thread, 1 micrometer thread, and the thread can go on for miles and miles. So Krishna Lila is like that. We can compress it in 30 to 40 minutes, one pastime. Or we can take one pastime and have a 1 week katha also of that. Each word we can say, why this happened, why that happened, why he said like this, what gave the praise, what Dhenukasura did, why he did like this only. So many wonderful things can be done. But in limited time, I again thank. And I thank all of you for your great enthusiasm and eagerness to be there and hear and participate in this wonderful celebration. So I thank all of you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Revatipati Prabhuji. That was a very wonderful katha, as well as you also connected that with the anarthas in our heart. And as you were mentioning, I am also drowning, and just by hearing the nectar that you have given, that is how I'm trying to lift myself up, take out my head out and take some breathing before drowning again. So thank you very much for giving me that nectar. And just like Yayati Maharaj was getting benefited, I'm getting benefited by your association, and I'm trying to survive in my bhakti like that. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. That was a very wonderful class. Do you have some time to take questions as well, Prabhuji?
Yeah, here in India, it's just 2:15 p.m. So India is a good time, not a really. All of you, it's getting night time.
No, that is good, Prabhuji. So we have some devotees. Okay, first question is coming from Kirtivanta Prabhuji. Kirtivanta Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranams.
Hare Krishna, Kirtivanta.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for taking us through the pastime of the killing of Dhenukasura. Prabhuji, just one question with regards to the killing is that, Lord Sri Krishna, whenever he's killing all these demons, he's killing different anarthas in our heart. Would it be the correct understanding to say that what Krishna is also trying to kill is like our stubbornness, coming in the form of an ass who is quite stubborn and things like that? Is there any other anarthas like that Krishna is trying to kill by killing Dhenukasura?
Yeah, whatever the qualities of an ass are there, they are all killed by Krishna and Balaram in the form of killing Dhenukasura. So, Acharyas have given specific connections also. At the same time, this is not any kind of deviation if we understand that, the ass is a stubborn person and he could have seen Krishna Balaram, he could have surrendered, but did not surrender because of his stubbornness. So, I do not see anything wrong about that. So that can be taken because an ass is stubborn. So whatever qualities an ass represents, they're all, there in the personality of Dhenukasura, and they're all there as anarthas in our own heart. So we can take for that. The Krishna does, and Guru does that. Actually, Balaramji killed Dhenukasura, then Krishna Balaram killed all other asses. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur especially writes that this anartha of, we can call it stubbornness or possessiveness, that is especially demolished by the spiritual master through his instruction. Because spiritual master says you serve as a menial servant, you have to serve spiritual master as a menial servant. What is that? Acharan dasvat nichu. So the spiritual master is a menial servant. So it's very tough for the, false ego and the mind. Because when we think we are great, then we can't serve anyone. We want service. We don't want to serve. Right? So a spiritual master, by his instruction, by his order, and by accepting service from us, actually kills that mentality. So yes, the stubbornness can be added. There's no harm and there's no problem. Is that okay?
Yes, no, thank you, Prabhuji. Just wanted that clarification. Thank you. Thank you.
The next question is coming from Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam. Thank you for the nice lecture, Prabhuji, and it's very nice to hear about Dhenukasura and about the possessiveness. But my question, Prabhuji, is in regards to these material things agitating mind, right? You gave a couple of examples, like when you went to a movie and then you closed your eyes for 3 hours. It's amazing how you did it. Right. So I'm just wondering, Prabhuji, see, when we face these kind of situations in material world, it's like every second, we are bombarded with these kind of agitations, right? So what, when you face that kind of situations, what goes through your mind? How do you control that? Oh no, I shouldn't withdraw my senses. What goes through your mind?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's always a struggle. And somehow in the new stage, there's a special energy and a special power Krishna gives. All of you must have experienced that. To kind of really be determined and kind of kick off Maya. Later on, we face challenges of the same kind. So, but that was the initial enthusiasm of some of Krishna protected. Yeah, so actually one has to really plan for one's, spiritual engagement and spiritual absorption. Without planning, spiritual absorption will not automatically come. So one has to use one's Krishna-given intelligence to plan out the day in a way that, we are occupying every part of the day, every section of the day by some Krishna-conscious engagement. So because if there's a free time, that is where the mind takes its chance. Just like, sometimes you go to station and the time is less, then we are not bothered what is there at the billboard, what is there at the hoarding. We are just seeing the signal when it is going to turn green and rush. So when there's an urgency, when we have a mission, then we will see that distractions just don't exist. You all can have this experience. Sometimes like in devotional service, Bhakti Shastri exam kind of thing. Or at times, we may have an initiation interview, or at times, we may have a company interview. We may just have another company we might be choosing for the job, or something like that. Or might have to board a flight and things like that. So when there's an urgency, then the mind has a tendency to give up distraction. And when the mind is relaxed and it has extra time and taste is not yet there, so then that time without taste, that leads to attachment and attraction to the alternatives. So as a sadhaka, we have to make a plan that we occupy every moment of our time in a way that, yes, I will read. So we carry a sloka books, we carry Bhagavad Gita. Whenever we get time, we read. Or we carry some exciting book, Salted Bread, or Swamiji, or whatever. Right? So many biographies of Srila Prabhupada are there, and they're so exciting. Or nowadays, of course, mobile phones are more distracting than being used for any Krishna conscious thing. That's my experience also. But there's so many Prabhupada memories to hear and see the videos if you want that. Or so much. The technology can be engaged in Krishna service in a planned way. So we have a mission. I will complete Krishna Book before Janmashtami, or in this period. I will complete Nectar Devotion before others. We may or may not be able to do that. But the nature of mind is that if there's a target, then mind always goes back to fulfill the target. That's the nature of mind. So by keeping something targeted, then the mind will not get distracted. That's one thing. Another thing is that we have to really sit back, contemplate, and organize our life in mode of goodness. Because in long-term sustainability of devotional practice lies in goodness only. If we are too much into ignorance, passion, and not having time to think, contemplate, and organize, then mind will cheat us. Mind will get distracted in wrong ways, to wrong directions. So we have to organize. And the beginning of that mode of goodness is to wake up early in the morning and do morning program with devotees or with our family members or whatever condition we have. As long as there is a morning, there should be a morning program, right? Because good morning means to have a good morning program. Without morning program, there is no good morning. So morning stands for morning program. That's why the name is morning program. It's not any other name. So morning program is something which is very powerful in awakening that strength of goodness throughout the day to keep our mind in check. Because we cannot rectify the situation. Externals are going to be there. We are working on mobiles. Now also we are using a laptop. I mean, these gadgets have become a part of life now. Smartphones and all the other things. So externally, we will not be able to close everything. But to the degree we are internally strong, even the presence is there. The presence of stimulus is there. The presence of a distraction is there. But we will not get distracted. if our mind is strong and we have a target and we have sufficient goodness. So, and these are a few things. And lastly, we should pray, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in the song Gopinath. Manaje pagala mura namane shashan sada chetana vishaya roye. Pray to Gopinath. My mind is crazy. Instead of doing everything else, I can't manage it. With your mind, it is in your control, right? Krishna says, "Na, bhumi rapanalo kham mana buddhir evacha." These are all my energies. So we cannot control the mind. Krishna, by His grace, can rectify that. So the three means of planning our day, and a little longer run, cultivating mode of goodness, especially through morning program practices, and thirdly by praying to Krishna to the extent we have realization, because by doing every endeavor, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "My dear Lord, haraje menechi ami," I have accepted defeat. Aneka jatana hoilo vifala. I have made many endeavors and all of them have failed. And Aneka jatana hoilo vifala. Ekhano bharosa tumi. You are the only shelter now I have come to. So all three levels you have to do, because they are all integrated and they are all interconnected. When we endeavor, then only we pray to Krishna that our endeavors are not successful. If we don't endeavor, then we are under the control of mind. Never be improved. So we can, try these three things: plan and practice and pray. Three P's.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question. In the beginning, at the beginning of your lecture, you were mentioning about this desire of the devotees. Like in general, in material world, everyone is criticizing, whereas the devotees are appreciating. So,
Yes.
how do we actually change our desire to criticize to appreciation of others? Like, how do we transform that? Are there any practical tips that you can give all of us?
I have not yet transcended it, but I have realized that I do criticize. That is where I am, honestly. I can say there is the 4 levels of unconscious incompetence, and then conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. So, I somehow, by Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, at least I'm realizing how much we criticize and how the heart is not so pure. And although we see good, but we see good mixed with some bad. So, in one way, the first step will be to actually recognize that there is subtle or gross criticism of devotees. Sometimes we not speak, but in our mind, we do not feel fully happy. I know this Prabhuji distributed 52 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And our mind says, so what? He had money, so he put money in that, and then he sponsored. What is the big deal? I don't have salary like him. I could not distribute. I would have distributed more if things like that comes. Our heart is just slow. Okay, distribute 52, that's wonderful. 52 Bhagavatam sets, Prabhupada got distributed. Prabhupada really happy. So, first step definitely is to recognize, because without recognizing, nothing further happens. So, for recognition also, we have to pray, and as I was telling just now, we have to cultivate goodness. In goodness, things get revealed. Goodness is like, the water is there, if the lake of the water is still, it's not agitated, then one can see the bottom, and one can see that there's dirt at the bottom. If it is too agitated, then water is all mixed up, and we don't see that what is there. So, goodness helps us to really recognize our shortcomings as compared to the standard behavior, what is expected of a devotee. So that helps, because recognition is the first thing that we recognize. And then we also, philosophically and by contemplation, we understand that what are the consequences. If we criticize, Krishna displeased, Srila Prabhupada displeased, our spiritual master. So what do we gain by that? What do we gain by criticizing anyone? Except just feeling good about oneself. Just pampering one's false ego. Other than that, nothing else is accomplished. It's all all harmful. But so little understanding that why do I criticize? What is my insecurity? Ultimately, I'm trying to do what I can do for Krishna, and that I appreciate. In appreciating others, I get the credit of what I appreciate them for. Now, somebody distributing books or doing some service, if he did not do it in good consciousness, he may not get the exact benefit. But if I appreciate them, I get the benefit of doing the same service. So this is a big deal. This is just a very big deal. You may not have distributed one single book in marathon, but you really have a heartfelt appreciation for every single book distributor. You may not have collected one paisa or $1 or whatever the currency there in Janmashtami time, but you appreciate heartily somebody who has done the best. Then you get all credit of doing that service. Doesn't mean if we have the strength we should not do that, but this is just the formula that whatever we appreciate, just get it right. Krishna becomes so happy with our appreciation that whether the person did it in right consciousness or not, that is between him and Krishna. But we appreciate it in right consciousness, we get all the glories of that. And when you find fault, then it's very dangerous. It's detrimental for our spiritual life because it's sadhu ninda, it is Vaishnava ninda. And we know that Suruchi, she offended Dhruva, and she was destroyed. And I mean, so many examples in Shastra we have. Mahaprabhu calls it Hati Mata Aparad. So one has to know the consequence of what we are doing, because none of us, if we are told also that there is a potassium cyanide kept in this corner of the room, we will not look also in that direction. Although by our experience we have never seen anyone dying of potassium cyanide, right? We may not have seen anybody being bitten by a snake and dying in front of our eyes, but just by the process of hearing, it is possible to come to the conviction of not going in that direction, right? Just by the process of hearing, we know potassium cyanide means death. Although we have not seen anyone tasting and dying in front of us, but we still are convinced. So similarly, when we are convinced of the harmful effect of criticizing, then we can, try to abandon it. And just to emphasize this fact, I will just tell a story and we will quote here with this time. Once there was a king, So the king, he invited Brahmanas to his kingdom and he organized a very big feast. Some of you might have heard it, so don't mind hearing it again. It's a nice story with many good deaths. So he invited and he arranged for yajna and everything, that whole ceremony of 8 days yajna, things like that. And the cooking was going on for all these stages in an open area, as usually it happens in the villages and previous times. So while the cooking is happening, one of the eagle, she caught hold of a snake, and she's carrying the snake from the skyway, and the snake, because it is hurt and injured and all, the snake, it spits poison, and this poison falls in this item which is prepared below. It just falls there in that pot, and it's a big cobra, big deadly poisonous snake. And then the meal is served, and as natural, we know poison, what effect it has. The poison is there, and then the brahmanas die. Now the brahmanas die, and Chitragupta, Yamaduta's Yamaraj's assistant, he has to connect everything. He has to give the credit for everything to someone. So he goes to Yamaraj and tells, I'm not understanding whom to give this credit or the blame for the death of Brahmana. Who is the who should suffer the sin of killing the Brahmana? Because the king invited in good spirit, he wanted to serve. Should he be given the credit or blame or the sin of that? And the cooks were cooking, that was the system. They were cooking, and the pot has to be open because everything cannot be cooked in closed vessels. No pressure cookers. So that they were cooking. The eagle has a spray at the snake. So eagle was carrying the snake, and the snake has poison by nature. So it spit the poison and the poison fell there. So who is to be blamed? Now this was such a question, Sometimes we have some philosophical question. This intrigued even Yamaraj. Yamaraj, whom to give this sin of Brahmana's death? So Yamaraj is like, sometimes you have a question, you don't know the answer. What do you say? What do we do? We do it, car park. Parking kar do, baat mein dekenge. Tell other cases. Date. In Indian system, there is something called date. Not the dating. The dating looks romantic, but this is court wala date. Tarikh. In Hindi they call it tarikh. In India, it's all over popular. When is the date? Now, young generation may take like young date, but the date means usually court case date. So he said, okay, car park. Let us see. Let us sort out the immediate issues first. Let us be parked, no hurry. And all. So now 1 year passed. And the king again thought, okay, let me do some yajna, something for the benefit of my citizens. So he again invited the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas were coming on the way. And they were not sure of the path. There was no GPS in those days with smartphones. They couldn't figure it out. So they met an old lady who was, selling some pots on the way. And then, then they asked, Mataji, this kingdom of this particular king, is it in this direction? And the lady said, oh, this kingdom, that same king who killed all the Brahmanas last year? Yamuna said, catch her. She's the one who will get all the credit for all the sins for killing the Brahmanas. So, so the purport is that if we criticize someone and the person actually has some fault, then also we get 50% of the sin. And if there's no fault, then we get 100% of that fault. So it's a very serious thing. We may not be aware of the consequences because human intelligence is such that if it is aware of consequences, it doesn't do that. Just that we do not have sufficient conviction of the consequences. None of us touch the electrical wire. Do we touch it? Even if we say, Baba, nahi hai, current nahi hai, power gaya hua hai, aa gaya to. We will take doubly, we'll take out the switch and then touch it, do something. Take the tester and test it whether it is glowing and then touch it. And many of us may not have got electric shock in our life, so we don't want to test it. We believe hearing. So my understanding is that the tendency to criticize exists in us because we are not fully realized and fully kind of convinced about the consequences. We hear about Hatimat Aparad, we hear about the Shastric thing, but still we feel, Arey, kya hai? And we feel it's a reality kind of thing also. We know, I'm not criticizing, because that is another problem. The false ego doesn't allow us to identify. When Daksha was criticizing Lord Shiva, the first thing he said was, my dear assemblyman, please understand, I'm not criticizing Shiva. Please note it down, write it in your books. I'm not criticizing Lord Shiva. It's just I'm telling you the fact. Does he not look like a monkey? He criticized just like we glorify Lord's name, form, qualities and pastimes. So Daksha also very systematically criticized his name, and qualities and activities and his root. If you read that, we don't want to go in that, but actually we analyze that. He said his name is Shiva, his name only is Shiva, but there's nothing auspicious about him. So starting from name and his activities, what activities he does? He goes to crematorium and put this crematorium ashes. Any one of you think this is the pious activity? Any one of you sitting here? So this is the problem. This is the problem that false ego is so certain it does not allow us to accept that we do criticize that. So again, mode of goodness as a practical means, reading Shastras deeply, praying to spiritual master, somehow it will be revealed and we understand the problem and we understand the seriousness of the problem. Sometimes we understand the problem. We have fever, but okay, fever will go. But we have to understand the seriousness also, that it may really cause some trouble. So these are few thoughts, and you know much more than me, Amrish Maharaj. You're making me an instrument just to speak a few things. But I think
thank you very much, Prabhuji. That was a really, really good story. And by the effect of that story, hopefully, I can get over my anartha of criticizing others. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Are there any other questions for Prabhuji?
So, Prabhuji, you won't welcome me anymore when I come late to the class? Hari bol.
That's a different part. We will cover that.
Well, all welcome, Harijan Prabhu. We're loudly chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Ram, Hare.
Even
Okay.
if somebody thought I will join this session, even he deserves appreciation. Even if he thought that I will join, maybe today, maybe the last day, the last minute I will join. Still he deserves appreciation because even to desire even one thing to please Krishna, one thing to think of a devotee is so purifying. And then Padyavali Srila Rupa Goswami writes, Brahmaji starts making a Aarti plate. Gandharvas start tuning their musical instruments. The Apsaras, they start tying their clothes for dancing. For what is the celebration? They are ready to welcome a person who is thinking that maybe tomorrow I will start chanting Hare Krishna. So that is the response of Gandharvas, Apsaras, and Brahmaji. Then they can definitely appreciate everyone who's just thought of even joining the session. So what to say of those who joined, and what to say of Amrish Maharaj Prabhu who invited and give me this chance. I am eternally and deeply grateful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I think to show our appreciation for this wonderful class and this wonderful question and answer session, let's chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra once again loudly and appreciate Prabhuji's service. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. His Grace Revatipati Prabhu ji ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu.